Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady. Thanks for joining and welcome back. Hey JC, how you doing?
Wendy, I'm doing good. Just heard from some people out in Detroit, 93.5 FM. They heard the show, believe it or not. But you can also catch us in Detroit on WCSX 94.7 HD2, down in Tampa, 1010 WHFS AM, and in Charlotte on 94.7 FM. A big shout out to all of you, as well as WSOC HD3, and to our friends and family down in Fort Myers, Naples on 96.5 FM, 101.5 FM, 105.1 FM, and WXKB HD2. Thank you for tuning in to Podcast Radio US. Wendy, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, in case everybody hasn't figured it out, we're on the radio now too. So we're super excited to be able to bring experts to the podcast and ask questions and get answers to actually help us in this insane thing called life and even more insane work life. So with that said, we have a really cool expert here today, Joe Fournier. Joe Fournier. I'm horrible at pronouncing names. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Hi, Wendy. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, I know that you are not only a former Chief Human Resource Officer, but today you are really focused on, pioneering innovation, cost savings, and excellence across multiple industries. And I want to just jump right in and find out a little bit about your company that you're the president and COO of right now, Evolve. What does Evolve do?
Oh, well, thanks, Wendy. Evolve is a national telemedicine company. And what we do is provide hormone and peptide treatments to men and women across the United States. And we're really on a mission to help everyone live happier, healthier, more productive lives every single day through our treatments. And that's men and women who are anywhere from 30 to 65 years old and experiencing the things that we all experience as we get older. Because there's one thing that's for certain. We are going to get older every day and our bodies change. There's no way to avoid it. And so our treatments are geared toward helping people do that in a healthy and graceful way.
Well, I could tell you I'm of the age, and this magical thing that happens a lot now, especially when I'm under a great deal of stress, which I am currently under, is, this lovely thing called hot flashes. Going into menopause, so much fun. Not sarcasm was intended there. So talk to me a little bit just about like leadership and women in the workplace, specifically, how does menopause affect the workplace overall?
Yeah, I think that is a great question. It's one which men and women across America should be asking all the time. How do these things that happen as part of the natural aging process for both women? You talked about menopause and perimenopause, and for men, it's called andropause. How do these things impact our ability to come to work every day, be great leaders, show up as our best selves, and still maintain a happy and healthy life while doing it? The truth is that not too many people talk about our hormones as we age, both men and women when we go to the doctor. For men, it's often a discussion around testosterone and what normal levels should look like. And for women, not too many people are talking about menopause. Even among women themselves, there's discussion as friends and family. And often what we hear, because our doctors see patients every single day who present with the symptoms associated with menopause or premenopause, is that they can't get answers from anywhere. Many doctors are trained to treat menopause after 50, or that it's just a natural part of the aging process. Our doctors are all specialists in treating menopause and premenopause symptoms, and we know that you don't have to live that way. The hot flashes, fatigue, emotional swings, things that are happening in your body that you just can't explain, the way you feel. Our treatments help to balance hormones so that you don't have to go through those things the same way. And when it comes to going to work, just because you put a suit or put your clothes on and go to work, it doesn't change who you are. You still feel those things, even though you're expected especially in your 40s and 50s, to perform at a higher and higher level. And often you're in a leadership role where you're responsible for others. And so to do that while you're not feeling well or experiencing those symptoms and somebody is telling you, I can't help you, leaves you feeling helpless and sometimes hopeless. And we give hope back to people. We make them feel the way they did 10 or 15 years before, so that they go on and live that life both as a person and a leader in their organization.
A survey by the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, CIPD, found that 59% of women experiencing menopause reported that it did have a negative impact on their work. Regarding productivity and performance, symptoms like we just heard, and more like brain fog, fatigue, and sleep disturbances can impair cognitive function, reducing productivity and efficiency. A study published in the journal Menopause found that women with severe menopause symptoms were 27% more likely to report a negative impact on their work performance. Back to you.
Yeah, I can definitely confirm that. I can tell you that much. The brain fog, the exhaustion. There are times, and this is probably a good time to share it too. And first of all, I wanted to go back to what you were saying, Joe, is no, we don't talk about this. We might talk about it with our other friends who are going through the same thing, but it's like, hush, hush, it's embarrassing. And it's like, why? It's just a health condition. And I wish everybody kind of knew what males and females were going through of the age. There are times when I am speaking, I'm a public speaker and I do a lot of private trainings with clients. There was one time not too long ago, I was doing a training. It is all day. So stress, I'm tired, I'm on the whole day, like as if I'm in a circus or something. And by the end of the training, towards the end of the day, it was right at the end of the training, I had brain fog in the middle of a sentence and I couldn't even finish the sentence and I was mortified. So now when I remember, especially if I'm doing a lengthy presentation, I just tell my audience, listen, I have menopause and I'm probably going to have a hot flash and brain fog. So if I stop talking for like 2 minutes, don't call 911. Just give me a minute. It'll come to me. And most of the women are like, yep. Or even the men are like, oh yeah, it goes on in my family too. So I think you're right. I wish we can just talk about this more as society.
I agree. And, as a former chief HR officer, now as the head of a company that delivers these services and treatments, and as an employer, I think we have to open the discussion up between men and women about what's happening in our bodies and how it impacts us. And frankly, as an employer, we should want to do that because one, it produces a workforce that is open to the discussion around what happens to all of us and how that impacts our work. And two, JC just read a statistic about how it impacts productivity. Why wouldn't we want to have that discussion about helping our workers to feel happier and healthier and be more productive when they're working every single day? And so I think one of the next steps companies can take, and some have already started to do that, is to change the way they think around benefits. So I'm talking about some simple things like offering more flexible time off, reduced working hours, viewing sick time differently when it comes to menopause or premenopause. And then finally, elective benefits that allow women to seek treatment for the symptoms associated with menopause. And that could be either through an insurance plan or directly contracting with companies like mine that specialize in this and work with women every single day. I mean, that in my mind is the next logical step to really caring for our people, is providing personalized care so that we have engaged people who are as productive and the best contributors they can be at work every day.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit more about sick time. You mentioned that. Are you talking about like extra PTO, extra sick time, or sick time specifically related to these issues of menopause and andropause?
Yeah, I think it can come in a number of different ways. It can either be expanded or redefined as including those things. Just have to have a runny nose or a cold or the flu to be sick and not be able to perform or come to work. the symptoms associated with menopause specifically and andropause for men really do impede your abilities. You said, Wendy, to come in and do your job every single day. And we ought to be sensitive to that and remind ourselves that sick leave was meant to support employees so that they could get healthy and come back to work. And that definition has to be expanded. I think it could definitely include things that are associated with both of those, the symptoms associated both with menopause, and we could expand a special category of leave focused on that.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And, you do have to be careful for our listeners. Some of our listeners might have state mandated sick time policies or, per a law. Others may just be figuring it out as you go because there is no law in your state. So definitely get an expert involved so that we don't rule out or rule in discrimination only for or against these certain people. But I think JC has one other thing to share.
Yeah, interestingly, some public sector organizations in the UK have actually begun to introduce specific menopause policies. For instance, the NHS, the National Health Service, has implemented guidelines that allow flexible working and special leave for menopause-related health issues. Back to you.
Wow, that is awesome. Well, I'm sure in the United States, we're far off from that, unfortunately, but companies like yours are here to help and to help us step up the game. I was looking at another statistic. We were talking about the statistics on menopause before, but there is another one from the Journal of Occupational and Environmental Medicine. And it found that 39% of men aged 45 to 65 reported that symptoms of andropause, such as fatigue, mood changes, and decreased concentration, negatively affected their work performance. So I know we're talking about menopause a lot, and it's probably one thing that is more openly talked about, even though it's not that openly talked about. But don't forget about the men in here, too. With that said, what final piece of advice do you have, Joe, for our listeners?
Wendy, I think we started the conversation today, and I'd love for this conversation to continue long beyond this podcast. The bottom line is that we're all in this together, men and women, women and men. We all are aging and experiencing these things as we age, and we have to be able to talk to each other about them. And as employers, we have to be able to support our employees as they go through their life journey. And that's why I'm encouraging the conversation at work and focus that around benefits that support people and just as people for us to support each other, because we don't know what's happening in our coworkers' lives, but we do know that something is happening, and it's happening to all of us. And that's that we're getting older every day and our hormones are changing, and we're going to have to deal with that.
Yep, we don't really have a choice now, do we? Hey, Joe, what's the best way for people to reach out to you if they want to find more information?
Thanks, Wendy. Yeah, you can always catch me on LinkedIn at Joseph Fournier at Evolve Telemedicine. You can email me at joseph.fournier at Evolve Telemed, EVOLVE, telemed.com. And after we get to know each other, I'll share my direct line and we can have a conversation about what's next.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for coming today and tuning in to this very, very important topic. As the HR lady, I'm always looking for feedback on our program. Reach out if you'd like to hear something specific or more of something else. Simply visit thehrlady.com to get in touch. We hope this information has been helpful. Thanks for joining us. Take care.